Must be time.
It's getting close. Ready, Nathan? All right. Good evening, everybody. I'm going to bring the regular July Columbia City Board of Zoning Appeals meeting to order. Roll call, man.
Kathy Gardner.
Here.
Patricia Hatcher.
Here.
John Kissinger.
Here.
Anthony Romano.
Here.
Dennis Warnick.
Present.
All right, board. We're going to look at our meeting minutes tonight. We're going to approve 3 of them. So we're going to first start with the April minutes. Does anybody have any discussion on that or questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve as submitted.
Second.
I got a motion by Kathy and a second by Patricia. All those in favor, raise their right hand. Opposed? One abstention. Okay, April's over. All right, now we're going to look at May. Does anybody have any questions or comments on that one?
I just had a couple quick corrections here. On page 2, down in the middle where it says Ms. Gardner asked, could you do building/fire code, please? Requirements. And then also down on page 3 at the top paragraph, the last full line, starting any new development, please. Thank you.
All right. Does anyone else have any comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve as amended.
Second. I have a motion from Kathy and a second from Tony. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay.
Oh, I have to abstain on that one, I'm sorry.
We have one abstain.
Okay.
Which month wasn't I here?
All right, we're gonna move on to the last one. We got June meeting minutes here. Has everybody had a chance to look at those and have any questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion.
I have a motion from Tony
Second.
and a second from Patricia. So, all those in favor, raise your right hand. All right. Thank you. Okay. All right. Anybody here that's wishing to speak on behalf of the petitioner, please stand up, and our legal representative, Cohen, will swear you in.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, or nothing but the truth? If so, say I do. I do.
Thank you. All right, first new order of business. We have 25-C-VAR-8. David and Sharon Sauers is asking for a variance of the rear setback at 1750 East Inverness Circle. Nathan, staff report.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. So going to the slides here. This is located at 1750 East Inverness Circle. It is zoned R3, as is all of Eagle Glen. It's half of lot 120 of Eagle Glen, section 1, part of the villa area, as you may know it from a long time ago, I guess. What is being proposed is to construct a 12 by 16 pergola on the rear of the dwelling, the east end of the dwelling, which would cover the existing, and this measurement is from the submitted survey, 9.6 foot by 12 foot patio area, and the purpose is to provide diffused sunlight for the petitioner, well, yeah, that's the purpose stated. The resulting setbacks would be 0.2 to 0.7 foot from the eastern property line. That would be in line with the existing concrete patio. Petitioner has talked about in their submission how the pergola would be constructed such that it would be the existing patio concrete would be notched out in order to maintain the existing setback rather than getting closer. And as a reminder, concrete patios, of course, are exempt from zoning code regulations. That's why it was allowed to be so close without further variances being needed. Been there many years, but as soon as you put a structure above that, that actually is subject to zoning requirements, and so that's why we're looking at a variance for tonight. The R3 code requires a 10-foot setback, thus the requested variance is 9.8 feet. Going to review materials here. This is the, not the entire villa area, but almost. I think I cut one or maybe one unit off there off to the east. But highlighted there in blue is the subject property. Closer view. Of note is the fact that this is a inside of a corner lot. Inverness Circle comes and winds up being basically the western and the northern side, so it's kind of a corner lot. And then when the home was built, in order to accommodate that, this particular unit was shifted back quite a bit more than you can see even the attached unit to the south. And by doing that, it gets shifted back to the rear setback line and the rear easement line, which is there in the purple, as opposed to virtually every other unit in this villa area, which even the corner units on other lots are not quite as constrained as this particular one. So this one does definitely have some unique arrangement to the lot. Oblique view here kind of shows you again how that unit to the south and the subject unit are quite a bit different as opposed to most of the others, which are more or less lined up with each other. The submitted plot plan and survey hatched over here is the existing concrete patio area, which is also the proposed pergola. And then the plot plan overlaid over the aerial, and of course the aerial is, because its photography doesn't necessarily line up perfectly with the plot plan, plus the plot plan is based at the foundation line. What you're seeing from the aerial is, of course, eaves, which would overhang that. So, but again, you can see in more context how everything shapes up. Going to the review criteria, staff doesn't particularly have any concern about the proposal being injurious to public health, safety, morals. The fact that this would be an open pergola still means that there's access around the property. Being a villa lot, being low maintenance, that does help to control the amount of development that goes on each lot, which again kind of helps to promote access around. So far less concern about fire safety that we sometimes have when you have buildings encroaching closer to the property lines. General welfare could be injured, of course, if this sets a precedent for the overall area. Looking at use and value, highly unlikely that this would substantially affect the use of the surrounding area. The patio is already there. This is just putting a pergola above that. The value of the area probably would not be substantially and adversely affected. It's very similar in appearance to many other pergolas, decks, patio enclosures on adjacent dwellings. For for those who drive by, they wouldn't necessarily be able to discern where that property line is. So it fit in character, and therefore not likely change the value overall. At least not adversely. It might be positive actually. And then finally, as I mentioned before, the strict application of code resulting in practical difficulties. As I mentioned, this is a inside corner lot. It does appear that this is a very tight lot for many reasons. While there is an area on the north side of the dwelling that a addition could go, because that's on the north side, and the entire intent is to allow for diffused sunlight, it's not very helpful to have pergola on the north side where you don't get sun. So that too is a difficulty overall. So it does seem to be that there are some practical difficulties in this. Your judgment whether that's self-imposed or not, based upon the overall request. Even though this is a variance, I do have two suggested conditions regarding this. As I mentioned, being an open pergola, and the factor of whether if it were enclosed, that would probably have a greater effect overall. So I want to make sure that, or I'm suggesting that we make sure that number one, it's an open pergola, and number two, because of the absolute thin line of 0.2 of a foot between the concrete and the property line, number two clarifies that no part of the pergola shall extend beyond the property line. That's really goes without saying many times, but because this is so close, and because the posts of the pergola and oftentimes the structure of the pergola overhangs the posts, it's worth noting for clarity here. So I am suggesting those two conditions in addition to anything else you may wish to add, or you could not take these if you wish. It won't hurt my feelings. So any questions for me?
Anybody have any questions for Nathan? All right, hearing none. Would the petitioner or the representative please come to the podium, state your name and address, and kind of fill us in on anything that Nathan might not have touched on.
My name's Adam Blinn with W.A. Zimmer Company in Huntington, 1700 North Broadway, Huntington, Indiana. I guess back up to the last slide, my only question or request. So line item 2, you said no part of the pergola shall extend beyond the property line. So the pergola is going to be designed in such that the permanent portion is going to be the same size as the patio itself. The posts are going to be notched into the corner of the patio, and then the permanent structure is going to be the size of the patio. There is a 16-inch extension out the front that can be removed. Can that be on there for decorative purposes? And if there's no, the mowing and everything's taken care of by the villas. I don't look at it any different as a neighbor having a tree that their branches come over onto the neighbor's property line. That extension can be removed if it has to be removed to get easy access for the neighbors to get into the property. Just a matter of pulling 2 screws out of the front, and that extension can come off. It's just a decorative piece that goes on there to clean it up a little bit, give it a little more class, so it's not just a flat edge stopping at the edge of the pergola. Most every house in the area has a 1-foot overhang and such on the house, so we try to mimic the same design. So if you have the overhang, so it doesn't just stop at the end of the patio and just look like a box was put on. That'd be my only question, is if we can leave that on there. Like I said, it's just neighbors have trees that overhang the property line. There's really no rules against that. And if it has to be removed to gain access, if they have to get a piece of equipment or something around to the back of the yard, it can be removed. But there's still, I believe, over 20 feet between where the edge of that patio is going to be and the edge of the neighboring house. So I don't really see it as an obstruction.
Do you have a picture of this pergola that we could look at? Any sort?
You want like an overhead?
I don't know if you just had some type of design that we could see what the actual. So there's no sides or anything on this thing.
It's no sides. It's just it's a post on each corner, and then it's open. The center portion is solid for rain protection, then the rest of it's slatted around the outside. The slatted portion can come off. So the main fixed area is going to be the same size as the existing patio, being as we can't cross that with the roof itself. That's where the support post will be, and then it has a decorative trim on the outside just to add some character to it.
Does anybody else have any questions for the petitioner?
I just said it would still be nice to see, that we could see what we're approving.
So I can, you guys have AirDrop, or you just want me to bring a picture around for you to see? What's the best way to?
If he shows it, you've gotta present it right. We have to keep a copy of it.
Yeah, if you could email it to us as staff afterwards, that'll go into the file. But yeah, you can present it to them.
Yeah, I mean, I can send you a picture of one that we just completed up in Fort Wayne, went through the same issue, setback requirements.
So you can get your internet work done here better than us.
I mean, essentially, so this piece right up, the post will be on the corner of the patio, just like what you have there. This front piece can be removed. So
I see.
it's, I mean, that's pretty much the same setup as far as concrete goes, notching into the corners. That's going to be the way that it's constructed. That front piece is overhanging the fence there, can be removed.
Which one's he showing? This one? Show us, please.
Yeah, so right here is a support post on the
Right.
corner of the concrete.
Mhm.
That's going to be what is permanent all the time. This front piece right here can come off if it has to. It's got a little bit of an overhang,
Oh, I see.
amounts to about 16 inches. That can be removed. Just
I
a
didn't
matter,
see.
Under there.
just a matter of removing the screws and that part
So
can come down.
this is the piece right here?
Yeah.
So does this extension then go on beyond that?
The extension can come out, yeah. So
This
these,
part right here?
yes,
So that's the piece that they can take off.
all of these right here?
yeah, that's removable. I mean, it's a 5-minute job. It's just a matter of taking 2 screws out on each end and it pops right off. But that just gives it a little more character instead of looking at like a shed style porch roof.
Sure.
It spruces it up, makes it look nicer for the community and the neighbors around.
Thank you.
So that'd be my only request, is we can still put that piece on front. Be more appealing to all the neighbors and the community as a whole, especially being a corner lot.
Does anyone else have any questions for the petitioner?
No.
Hearing none, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here that wish to speak on behalf of the petitioner? Does anyone here wish to speak against the petitioner? Hearing none, I close the floor and open it to board discussion.
So I guess I'm going to put our attorney on the spot. So according to the staff report, it said that granting, that the board does not have the authority to grant a variance beyond the property line without the consent of the adjoining owner. I personally do not agree with that. In my years' experience in that department, I've not heard of that before. I guess I'm asking, does the board have?
Wait.
Does the
Give me more detail what you're saying there, because I think you and I are saying the same thing, but in different ways, and I want to make sure.
Consent of the adjoining owner. The adjoining owner has no right to approve.
Well, he does.
He can, but then again, we talked about that before, because if the property owner,
Because I
sells and
put
moves,
this
then-
in specifically because of what you've said before, and I'm trying to convey what your feelings were before. That's why I'm jumping on you here,
okay.
because I want to make
that's
sure we're saying the
probably
same thing.
I can get approval from the neighbor if that's what you guys need in order to
fine. I don't
do
agree
that.
with that either, so.
So what I'm trying to say is you don't have the authority to grant a variance
On somebody
for
else's property.
onto somebody else's property. If they give the adjacent property owner, if the 2 property owners agree, that's one thing, but you can't trump that. That's what I'm saying. Is that what you're saying too?
I just remember the one that we had off of Hannah Street, we made him take it down, even though the next door neighbor said they didn't have a problem with it. But then again, though, who's to say that that neighbor doesn't change and then they don't agree with that being on their property? They have the right then to tell them, you gotta get that off my property, correct?
Or they have to take into account what they
Yeah,
bought.
there could be easements and stuff in place, but without the other property owner here, which they haven't submitted anything for your consideration, that's what I meant. So I think we are on the same page. I apologize for jumping, but I wanted to make sure we were on the same page here.
Nathan, is that an easement that runs in between those? Is there an easement that goes in behind that?
There is an easement there, and I believe we have nothing from the utilities of concern, right? Because there's an existing patio there.
Okay, so there is an easement that goes through.
We got that easement approval.
Oh, you got the, okay.
I was gonna say, I thought so.
It's been a while since I wrote this, so yeah, they've taken that.
So they do have an easement
It
approval.
was in
Okay, but then you guys know that if the city has to go down that easement, use that easement at some time, there's a likelihood you have to take that extension off,
Correct,
so they can get in and out of there.
correct.
I don't know if there's electric poles or
No,
wiring.
actually, there's no utilities in that easement, they all come in from a different direction,
Okay,
which is why they were quick to give the approval on it. All the utilities come in from different directions, so they don't use that easement.
okay.
If I recall correctly, there's a grade there too.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I might suggest to petitioner and board, a possible edit to line 2, that no permanent part of the pergola shall extend beyond the property line. That's the part that is triggering the need for the variance. That's all you would be approving, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, legal counsel.
It'd have to be removed.
And anything that they tack on later that's removable is not, again, we measure to the foundation line. You don't have the authority to approve something beyond the property line, but if they tack something on later and the neighbor doesn't care at the point, that's between them. Is that sound okay with you?
Yes, because they could do some kind of agreement, whether it's a contract or some kind of temporary license or easement permitting them to, which could be revoked by them or pursuant to another agreement at a later time.
Well, and I realize this seems to be very trivial. However, I personally don't like to approve something that I don't have the authority over, so I always question things, okay?
Oh, yeah.
So, I don't wanna set a precedence and I don't want it to come back, upon us, so, cause I question the fact that the pergola is being proposed at 12 by 16, but the area of the patio is 9.6 feet by 12.
So those
So
overall dimensions go off of the removable part too, so it goes off a total top dimension, not foundation dimensions.
Is that the 12 then, from the
So,
house out?
Yeah, it's actually gonna be, it'll actually be like 11 and some change. The 12 feet is just what we put in there for sizing.
And
But
then the 16,
The dimensions you're looking at would be of the overall top with the removable sections.
okay,
Your foundation footprint, which was submitted for the building approval, shows the post locations to match the existing concrete patio. So none of the permanent structure will overhang none of the permanent structure will obstruct onto the neighbor's property.
All of the permanent lies within the existing
Correct.
structure of the patio.
and the 16 runs, Like
That'll
north and
run like the north-south property.
okay, all right.
Yeah. So there's no issues with that, it's just the projection of the 12 feet. That's where we make that front removable, so if it has to come off, it can.
Somebody else have any questions?
close it up.
Somebody have a,
I'll make a motion to approve with the conditions added to it,
stated by staff with the,
staff.
Do you want to edit?
Yeah,
Number
the
two.
second,
The edit
second.
All right, I'll second that with you.
I have a motion from Dennis and a second from Tony. All those in favor, raise their right hand. Opposed? Passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
do have one quick report, if you want to move on.
Let's move
Do
on.
we have any other business, Nathan?
Other business, no, but I have a report.
Okay.
So you probably may, well, you may have noticed, I can't remember, I think you got 2 copies of the agenda. One was an older format that just had your names listed on the left-hand side, and then the second version has your name listed along with your appointing body and also your terms.
I
And
didn't see that one.
yeah, that was added last week or the week before. The reason for the additional information as of July 1, so you guys are the first one under the new requirement, state law requires any appointed boards to include all of that information on their agendas, meeting notices, and website. So that's why that stuff is there. And it's very clear that it's date of beginning and end of your term. That's why it's January 1, 23 through January 1, 27, for example. Thank you very much, state law. But I just wanted to highlight that I knew this was coming down something like this. That was one reason we changed the format at the beginning of the year, because this bill was pending then. But the addition of the terms was something that was added kind of late in the game. Wasn't really sure exactly what to expect, but was easy enough to accommodate, but took a little bit to try and squeeze everything in there without running over. So wanted to highlight that for everybody's information. Thank you for those who came to last night's training session on ethics. I think it was a fun discussion once we got to the scenarios, if you can call ethics fun. Lively discussion.
I'll wait till we get in. I'll wait till it's done.
That's all I had. I wanted to say thanks. So
Is Mr. Wiggle retiring?
Dan is retiring from GIS as of August 7th. Yeah, 7th. It's a Thursday.
It's coming up.
We coincidentally just offered the position to Beverly Perry, who accepted it. She does not come from GIS background, but she does have a degree in geography. She spent, I don't know how many years, let's say 10, I think I'm, give or take 10, in meteorology. That was her initial passion. But for various reasons, she's worked for TV stations around the country, wound up back at Fort Wayne, and is ready for a career change. And
This is gonna be kind of boring compared with that.
It's definitely not nearly as early mornings, one thing she said, and not nearly as much on call either, or effectively on call. So there's more to it, but we're glad that the opportunity came up, and glad she's wanting to make a career change. It'll be a learning curve for her because she doesn't have hands-on GIS experience. Unfortunately, we didn't have any applicants who really could walk right into the role.
People have that experience.
Those with that type of experience would be looking for a higher up job than what this is. So
He'll still be on the city council and he'll still be a board member.
yeah, that's not changing. He's just his day job he's retiring from. All his other stuff he's still on. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Do we have anything else, Nathan?
Do we have anything else?
There's a case for next month.
Oh.
You guys are going to be racking up the stipends.
Okay.
I move we adjourn.
All
I
right.
second that.
So moved.
All right.